Lead us. Stephanie?
Sure.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, looks like we have a quorum. Three of us out of the four. And let's see. I don't know if I'm gonna do this in the wrong order here, but we have some guests here. We have Renee Cabral, who is new to our community, lives just up on Second Street, lives in town. And we have Brian Dennis, who lives in outside of town, across the river, through the bridge and around that goes. And of course Emily, who's the representative for the city council, and our mayor. Oh, and Cindy too.
Did you vote to excuse or not excuse Ruth?
Oh, yeah, we should do that, shouldn't we? I just called her and I just left a message, but so.
I make a motion that we not excuse Ruth's absence.
Okay,
Second motion.
okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
The agenda. Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Yeah,
Unanimous.
nobody left.
Okay, approval of a consent agenda. I suppose we might, do we?
Well, you have a gentleman that might be interested in a park board position, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I did go into other business, but
All right.
you're trying to capture other business items.
She keeps us on track. then.
It sounds like it.
Yes.
Maybe avert the speed.
Yeah. So Renee, can you tell us about yourself a little bit? Just,
This is the end.
oh, okay, well,
Other business items. Are there any other items?
are there any other business items?
I don't have anything
I
else.
do this once a month, so. Okay, let's see, we're approving the consent agenda, which is this. Do we approve?
I make a motion that we approve it.
All right,
I second that.
all right, all in favor?
Beaches.
Aye. All right, we have the minutes from last meeting. And okay, there's a bunch of foreign words here and I don't. What the hell? Yeah, why don't you say meeting the minutes? Yeah.
You just approved the meeting minutes.
Oh, I did,
just did
okay,
that.
yeah. Okay. That's in a consent agenda, huh? Okay. Board reports, anything you wanna say? Let's start with the youngster.
Nothing this week.
Okay,
I don't have anything new that's not on the agenda.
okay. I have a couple of things, observations. And one of them deals with Steamboat Alley. It is starting to fall into disrepair, and it looks like it needs a little attention by the city, maybe. But more to the point, the alley itself, not the park part of it, but the alley itself has some pretty good sized potholes in it. And that I think needs to be taken care of by the city. People are using that alley. There's my building, we occasionally use it, but the coffee place uses it all the time. So does the clinic, and so does certainly the bank, almost 5 days out of the week. So it's starting to develop some potholes there. So I think that needs to be addressed somehow. And I was also wondering how are the things going with the gazebo, the steps to the gazebo? out here on the, has anything happened with that?
That is a current on hold right now,
Okay.
and the city's got a few other big fish that need to be fried.
Oh, yeah,
We
sure,
get
sure,
that.
yeah, okay, okay. Just want to keep it on the,
Yep,
not
exactly.
total back burner, but. yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. And one other observation I noticed on, and this probably doesn't even need to go with the city, but on the corner of Fifth and Pine Street, there's an empty lot, a vacant lot that has grass that's grown about this high, and it's covering over a fire hydrant and everything. It looks like a potential fire hazard to me. Somebody threw a cigarette out in there and that you'd have real problems. So maybe that needs to go to the fire commission or somebody, but
And I know they have weeded it around the fire hydrant itself, but
Yeah.
the person who owns that property will be getting a letter that it will be taken
yeah,
care of.
yeah,
or
yeah,
they'll
yeah,
decide.
yeah. Or, yeah, if you take care of it, send them the bill, I guess. That's how. Yeah. Okay. Well, there's all my stuff. Anybody else? Okay. Okay, let's see, public hearings. None are asked for. So moving on to new business. Discussion, coordination and communication regarding pocket parks and volunteer organizations. Okay, and I just mentioned that about Steamboat Alley.
Right.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and take lead on this, I guess. So this has come up, it's, as you know, most of we have a lot of little pocket parks. And we, as part of our comp plan, we are identifying them and we give a status update and kind of identify what's being done with them. And we know, we understand, all of us understand that the majority of or a large part, majority of the upkeep of our little parks around the city is done by volunteer organizations. We recently had an incident at one of the parks where other volunteers came in and kind of overstepped and kind of destroyed some plantings that people had been working on. So some of us, I think that we need, as a board then, we need to kind of support the volunteers that do so much to help the city in somehow kind of identifying how our running rules. The city at this point, I don't think can take care 100% of all the parks and do all the work that some of these people do. And so I'm just gonna throw this out there that maybe we look for some kind of a remedy and to maybe have a list of all of our areas and who's responsible for it and request that before anybody works in an area that they reach out to those. We can certainly, I know that these organizations can always use help, but I think coordination is important and communication.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to that end, Brian, you're here. Do you want to speak to this?
I would actually put communication in front of coordination,
Okay.
because that's basically all that people are asking for. The volunteers, once somebody claims a spot, they're not necessarily beholden or obligated to make sure that it's perfect. They're a volunteer. But what they'll end up doing is they'll get upset if somebody else just comes in and does something without communicating to them. And so I don't even know how many years I've been president of Common Ground. I was originally the guy that made the soil for all the beds in town. And then the president got burnt out and I just received it. And the past 2.5 years, I know I've been trying to give the presidency to somebody else.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's like, so I have done most of my volunteer work now is coordinations. Someone tells me, hey, I want to do this, or hey, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, okay. And then I field it with people who I know are organized. Brooke is the proverbial busy mom in town who often has even more on her plate every time something comes around, and she's fantastic at it. And unfortunately, she just keeps on getting more and more given to her, and I would would just like to alleviate some of that off of her shoulders. So, I do a lot of coordination via Facebook, quite frankly, because it's the easiest way to do it, and I can just get a little message and say, hey, you can go over here to that and go over here to that. I'm gonna be very frank with you, I do not do any oversight. Once somebody says they're gonna take a spot, they have that spot. Common ground exists because nothing else does, and therefore it is better than nothing. I know a lot of my volunteers don't like me to say that, but that's the truth. We all have a desire to make Toledo look good and look better, especially around cheese days. And we all kind of also recognize that the city doesn't have the funds to have somebody going out there and water stuff, or have a park board, or have somebody assigned to parks. It's not, we don't wanna have like, there's no animosity when I say that. There's not animosity towards the volunteers' energy level. There's no animosity towards the city for not like being on top of things. That's not at all what it's about. This is about town pride and being helpful with each other, which is what sucks really bad when something like this happens and communication, and people get angry with each other. And it takes the steam out of the volunteers who are already putting a lot of heart and soul into it. It makes me do a lot more coordination and attend meetings that I really have no time for. So, it's, if someone wants to help, that's fantastic. They will always get an enthusiastic yes from any volunteer, I'm sure. I can help out in telling them how to do it. Sherry can help out in telling them how to do it. You guys can help out. It's just a matter of, communication and basically let people know. Now, it always happens every year around cheese days. Tensions get really high. Everybody's like, this place needs to get mowed. This area by the parade needs to get mowed. People get mad at each other around cheese days. Every year, it doesn't fail. It's really, again, a matter of communication over coordination. We can do it. Everybody kind of knows. Like say somebody were to ask you, Mike, oh, what can I do? I want to help out with the garden beds. You wouldn't necessarily be like, hey, go work on the fish sculpture. You would say, you can go talk to Brian or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if I was to say, if someone asked me, what can I do about the pocket park? I go back to the park board, something like that. So just a matter of, sometimes people go rogue, and sometimes people go rogue with kind of weirdly animosity laden intentions. They can have it be about, wow, the place is looking like a dump, I better go fix it. That might be true, it might be looking like a dump, but it still should be coordinated how it goes. And that's not personal, that's just like, because it's a volunteer organization, because it's grassroots, we should just always be in communication with each other. I'm not mad at any of my volunteers who say they're gonna take care of a bed and then kind of don't do a good job. I'm not mad at them. It's just it's what we got. I'm gonna go back to the point I made already, it's better than nothing. And if someone else wants to participate in a spot that they think is dumpy, that's great. It just needs to be coordinated.
I have a
And-
question.
Yes, you do.
Does Common Ground have, funds?
Common Ground does have funds. I haven't written a check in a very long time.
Would we have enough funds to have signs out that says, call this number or anything like that to coordinate, with, volunteers, or at least say, call the city before you
Sure.
gig, something like that?
So respectfully, this is, signage is something that always comes up as a solution. And I mean this in my book. Yeah, so if I was gonna make a list of what not to do,
That would be right.
it would be bigger than that map.
Say, call before you gig or something like that,
Yeah, the people who have gone rogue have known this.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it is.
I have yet to have like, oh, wow, someone went through here and did this and we didn't find out who it was. This is another funny thing about a volunteer organization is they, something bad happens, by the next day by noon, who's responsible and who messed up, same
That's
thing.
right.
It just happens that way. And that's part of what makes the coordination so kind of, I don't know, monotonous, and you gotta kind of have a little bit of investigation going on with it. So signage it can help minutely. You'd have to put it everywhere on every single one of the common spots, which is also kind of
Yeah.
weird and aesthetically not pleasing. It's also gonna get vandalized, and or blown away or whatever, so. I just remember when we started the farmer's market too, everybody was just like, oh, well, what you gotta do is signage, you gotta do is signage. You
I
gotta
was
do-"
just
you know.
thinking like the main spot.
No, it's totally like a knee-jerk sort of like solution, but it just doesn't really. I just think, I mean, until the city has enough money to have a program in which their employees are actually tasked with doing that, this is what we're gonna have.
Right.
And and again, I'm trying to give the presidency away for a while. And I'll retain it until I don't, I'm all for continuing to coordinate it, I'm all for actually increasing the spaces. There's been a few times, in the history of Common Ground where I've had to take back what Common Ground has claimed, including the garden at Kemp Olson, the front area at Kemp Olson, that just got too tumultuous, there's too many different organizations getting mad at each other. Not worth it for me to have a volunteer walk into that storm of a tornado of bad feelings, it's just weird. The jail in particular is a lightning rod of visibility and problems, and so it's funny, yes, but it takes a hell of a lot more time. Yeah, it takes a hell of a lot more time just responding to messages than it does reading. So, I don't know, there's any questions?
Yeah, Brian, what do you think about the idea of a city cleanup day?
I've participated in and coordinated a
yeah.
lot of the cleanup days.
Yeah.
In the years past, especially, and that's
That
literally
was,
like last month, wasn't it?
no, well, that, it didn't happen.
Right,
And,
yeah.
and the person who decided to take it upon themselves to clean up the jail, that was the cleanup day. And so they decided, well, hell, I'll just do this myself. And,
So there's another layer to this being done.
yeah, so.
Well, I mean, it seems like it comes, the bottom line, it all comes. It comes back to communication.
Yeah.
open
Oh, yeah.
Communication.
Yeah.
Maybe we just
Yeah.
need to all reiterate from city hall perspective and as a board.
Yeah.
We need to reiterate that
Yeah,
we support the volunteers, coordinate with the volunteers, communicate before you do anything.
and Common Ground is not dominating here, like,
Yeah.
like I said, we'll say yes to any volunteer that wants to come in, we don't have lay any claim to like, nope, jail's ours, don't touch it, Lions, or don't touch it, you know, like, we're not gonna say anything like that.
Right.
We
We don't want your hard work to go to waste though either. I mean, you know,
Sure.
we
yeah, I
we
know.
respect and
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
It needs to be directed to the right location in the garden that needs to be done.
I mean,
Yes.
legitimately, if, for instance, you were injured on city property, then that is a liability, right? And you're doing something, because, like, I would think, so, like, you would need to know who that was, right? Like, that's where mine.
Are there any current gates for people to volunteer? Like, can anybody just get up and go and do stuff? Or do they actually, is there a gate where somebody has to talk to somebody before they can do stuff?
That's what.
No, we're talking about forming a gate right here.
Yeah.
But it's just like kind of like a group gate wherever there's like, there'd be like 5 different gatekeepers. It's basically if somebody says. There shouldn't be anybody in the ether
Yeah.
who doesn't know who to talk to get things done.
Yes.
And what we're talking about now, what happened here is clearly you can see someone got mad. I didn't, things are looking dumpy and I haven't, and I'm not gonna communicate, I'm just gonna do something.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get that, I'm curious about this, like normally in the majority of the use cases, people talk to somebody in the organization before they go and do stuff
Sure,
in the area, right?
yeah, they should.
Generally they
But
do.
generally they
Generally
do.
they do.
Yes,
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
always-
And we do have a volunteer form that people are supposed to fill out.
Okay.
We have a volunteer.
Well, the common ground is not a.
Oh, that's right, it's a
Right.
Organization.
True.
It's under the umbrella of Vision Toledo. And Common Ground came into being because there used to be a garden club in Toledo for decades. And they all got too old and stopped doing it. And then when Vision Toledo came into being, we said, well, let's get that end of it going,
Oh,
and
yeah,
spruce
it
the
was-
place up.
It was Gary Whiteside.
Yeah.
And there was all those
Right.
empty beds in town that were
Yeah.
empty
Yeah,
for at least 2 years.
Yeah,
And then he's like, okay, let's plant them in there, or he suggested, see, he stepped into it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He kind of like bitched and moaned to Vision Toledo, who then said, let's get the city to do that, and the city's like, we have no money.
Yeah.
And Vision Toledo's like, if you wanna do something, just do something, and
Yeah.
I was not
Yeah.
at that meeting when that happened.
Yeah.
And that's why I volunteered at the time, I said, I'll replenish all of those garden bed soil
Mhm.
with that, and so that's really what it boils down to, is we're just gonna be doing it, while we can. And the commons of it is actually really cool, because Toledo has commons, that's not normal in the city. Nowadays, to have these common spaces, and then it expanded to, okay. The jail property, the Kemp Olson property, at one point, we were talking about putting stuff over at Walls Pond. Which was a county spot, and so I think that's great. Now Common Ground's also working with the Neighbors Program and growing food over at the Neighbors Program, and so there's all sorts of ways for us to say, yes, come volunteer with us.
Yeah,
So.
yeah,
And we look forward to expanding that, just coordinating better.
so what's
Thank
to
you.
do?
Well, I guess everybody's on high alert, because like I said, Cheese Days is coming, so like the more that people say anything, I think we can all be diligent in informing them that like, hey, let's coordinate and communicate if somebody comes up and they have wild hair and they wanna do something.
Mhm.
Or especially if they feel like they're got some animosity in their tone, like, we gotta clean this up, 'cause I agree, it's like, we want it to look nice for whatever brochure that person was talking about, or whatever Cheese Days is coming up,
Yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
community space is coming up, I agree, and we can do it, it's not out of our realm.
Right.
We just gotta,
Well, to let you know, and they've taken this upon themselves. Tomorrow afternoon, the Lions Club is gonna clean up the main park.
uh,
Now, we haven't gone through anybody on that. We just said, that's what we do that every year, and we're gonna have a whole bunch of guys there with weed eaters and lawnmowers and whatnot, and the Kemp Olson Park will get spruced up, at least now. Of course, Cheese Days is a month away, so,
well, remember, Common Ground took their hat out of that ring.
right, right, yeah.
Because, so.
Yeah.
It's.
And there was a little friction there because the Lions Club, wait a minute, we've always done that.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly, and we're both lions, and
Yeah,
we- and
yeah,
we,
yeah.
we go there as lions,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
as
yeah.
Common Ground.
Yeah, yeah. So,
I don't know, I personally don't see anything that we necessarily need to take action on at this time. I think just communication, if everybody's on high alert.
Mhm.
One thing that can be done in our comp plan, and this is. I mean, that's what I'm involved in, but there is a list back in here of all the different little pocket parks and areas, existing facilities. And when I'm updating it, I can actually include a contact person, which would be helpful, and then the people at the city hall or anybody could refer to that and know who to contact if that works.
I like that.
That's just a simple.
And the next person that goes pro is gonna become the president of Common Ground.
There you go. There you go.
Let's have the award.
Yeah, thank you very much
Yeah.
for giving us your input, that's awesome. Okay.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on any of that? Okay, let's see, recommendation to council adoption of the Park with Us reservation system. And you have quite a bunch of stuff here about that.
Yes. Looks good to me, I
Yeah.
have to say.
Yeah, you guys are running it, so use what works for you. It's the best,
So we probably have to do a motion to put it to the council.
I guess that's, guess
So,
that's,
So I make a motion to bring the to the council
to change the to Firefly reservation.
to change the Firefly reservation.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
I- Look at that.
Look at that, man, talk about efficiency. What options are available to ensure a quorum for the park board meetings?
Yeah.
Now, we beat that to death last time, and we had a bunch of solutions or possibilities. And at the wine and cheese meeting we had a few weeks ago with for the upcoming event, Cheese Days, Renee was there. And I asked him if he'd be interested in being on the park board, and he said, so I don't know how he feels about it now. But anyhow, that would help in that we could get at least then four. For sure, and we gotta talk with Ruth about whether she wants to step aside, or we could, one of the possibilities is changing the time or the
Well,
day.
I don't know if you noticed, and Cindy also sent us an email, some
Yeah.
information from MRFC.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because it did give us options that maybe the city doesn't need a formal parks board.
Mhm.
And I guess my question was then, how was is the Parks Board formed via ordinance?
Yes.
It is, we do have an ordinance. Like, okay, that was kind of one of my things, that
Mhm.
kind of would determine. What
Well,
we
an
have to
ordinance
start,
can be.
but we can change it, yeah.
Mhm.
We've had some press work.
Ever, as far as I know.
Yeah, it just, I guess I'm not saying that we shouldn't have one, I just don't understand what the benefit or not to having one is. Just because it seems like we can accomplish a lot with an advisory board, and then we only have to have two people.
But are we looking at it from the standpoint of, all these things need to get done, but if they stay the way they are, then we just need an advisory board. But if we improve them and do all these other things that we wanna do, then we're gonna need more funds, or we're gonna need more things, and at that point, you would need the board. So the question is, do we wanna keep improving the parks, or some?
So in general, you guys are an advisory board, even though
Right.
you are
Sure.
formed by ordinance. You don't have any decision-making authority.
Right.
You only have recommendation.
Advisory.
authority,
Right.
And you have no budget. I mean, even though we give you budget numbers,
Mhm.
you don't have.
Right.
Spending authority.
Control.
But you can make formal recommendations to the city council, we can take those formal recommendations.
But any citizen in town can do that,
I
correct?
see your point now, then.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
So does that mean the board needs teeth
or,
to get things done?
I don't think that's not the crux of the issue of this agenda item.
Right.
It's, you've canceled 3 of the 5 meetings because you didn't have a quorum. So the question is, do you change the number required to have a quorum? That's
Yeah.
one option.
Mhm.
And by reducing it to just an advisory committee, then you really don't fall under the Open Meetings Act, which requires a quorum
Right.
in order to do anything. So,
Thank you.
and of the 5 members of the board, 3 of them are supposed to be people who live within the city limits. And 2 can be outside the city limits, or be associated with Vision Toledo or the Lions Club.
no, the outside city limits is not part of the park board at the
I
moment.
don't think
It's
so.
only Lions Club and Bishop Toledo.
Okay, yes,
If you wanted to adopt something similar to the planning commission,
okay.
the planning
But-
commission has an outside the city limits member due to the telephone prefix. The other outside the city limits member is because they have a business in the city.
Okay, I said that wrong.
Mhm.
Okay, so what I meant to say is that 3 of the members have to live in the city. And the other 2 members can be a Vision Toledo member or a Lions Club member. But they don't have to necessarily live in the city, as long as they're a Lions Club member or a Vision Toledo member. Of which I am both at this point, but we need one more. Any ideas? Oh, no.
Okay.
No, he lives in the city.
Oh,
But that's okay.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's okay.
So he's in because of that. Yeah. But we still need one more member, probably because of Ruth not being able to do it. So if we can get somebody from either Vision Toledo or Lions Club, or preferably lives in the city, would be the best option.
That sounds like that should probably be brought up at both the Vision Toledo meeting and the Lions Club meeting to see if they've got anybody who'd be interested.
I shall do that tomorrow night, yes, for the Lions Club. And, okay. So I guess we're still at the same place.
We are.
Yeah, okay.
We are.
Yeah. And,
So you need 5 people for a forum?
no,
No.
we need 5 people on the
is-
board,
We need three.
Three is a
quorum.
3 for a quorum.
5 is the board.
And so the 3 of us form the quorum right now,
Got it.
even though there's only actually 4 members on the board.
So, and then, but you need 5 for the board?
Yes,
You need 5 in order to establish a 3-person quorum.
Okay.
So you could change the total number of the board.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Sure.
your patience with me.
All right.
You're correct.
All right.
okay, so, well, that's our discussion of the options.
I just don't know. I personally just can't see clear. I don't see what would be best for the city. And if anybody has input on that.
Right,
I wanna hear it. Yeah.
for personal history of knowing how things function around here, it's good to have something like this.
Mhm.
Because it's a focal point, other people can come here on these meetings, even though the time's a little weird for this board's meeting.
Yeah.
But like, it's just a good spot for everybody to know where they can come and talk to. I think Cindy's got the best suggestion so far, was that if you guys change the number of what's required for a quorum, you can still add another member. Keep or not keep Ruth, and then like only like have a 2-person required to make a quorum. I don't know if you can do that. No, and it has to be.
According to this, that was just if it was gonna change to an advisory board.
I just think it's good for efficiency and communication,
Mhm.
right, because it puts it in the spotlight at least once a month.
and you're at City Hall.
And
Yeah,
it gives
yeah.
the public an opportunity
yeah.
to give their
Yeah.
piece
Yeah.
about their own park in the
Mhm.
city.
Yeah.
It's very-
Yeah, because the criticism would come up, "Oh, what the hell, you just put in $10,000 into the park? Who gave you the authority to do that?" "Oh, well, we just came up with it at the council meeting." "Well, was there any advisory into that?"
Right.
No, then there you are. Yeah,
So a couple of thoughts. So
Okay.
keeping it at 5, if Renee would like to join and gets approved by council. 4 generally will keep you guys safe from a quorum standpoint, even though
Mhm.
you probably will always have you may always have a vacancy. And to look out for City Hall and their workload. Any significant change will require an ordinance, and that just is more work. than-
yeah, they don't need to fool with that, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys keep it the way it is, if you have a 4th come in, and I suppose one option would be to change the ordinance in such a way that you could adopt something similar to the planning commission and do something in the prefix or some other outside the city limits criteria that would at least get your pool bigger to choose from.
I like expanding the pool a little bit outside city limits. I understand we've
Yeah,
got.
yeah. Oh, am I wrong on that?
Vision And the Lions Club, but
Cindy,
just
am
a
I?
general member of the public, I think would be nice.
Am I
outside.
wrong in my understanding of that we've got to have 3 people live in the city for
That
sure?
was just the discussion that you had several meetings ago,
Yeah,
and you guys kind of came to the consensus that 3 should be in the city
Yeah.
limits.
and, but,
There's no,
but they can't all be just Lions Club members and then they're all over nobody in the city?
ordinance.
Yeah.
and figure- Remind myself of what that was, but at the time that we discussed that originally, it was 3 inside the city limits and then the pool of Vision Toledo or the Lions Club. Being able to choose from those two pools,
Yeah,
so.
and those two pools are most of Lions Club and Vision Toledo don't live in the town, they live in the city
Right. The
limits.
question
Right.
is there anyone interested?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We put the word out.
Well, it sounds like Mike's.
Yeah,
gonna
yeah, I'll
to
talk to the
Yeah.
Lions Club tomorrow night and
So,
then we'll
Renee,
have
where do you live?
Running Road.
Okay.
Second
Okay.
Street, yeah.
We did this once before, we had somebody all on the board and it was, they weren't anywhere around.
Well, it took you 2 minutes to walk.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Good, yeah, good, good.
okay. Well,
What about Cindy? Is she being on board?
You,
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I would like.
Actually, the more serious answer.
Yeah.
I'm a volunteer for the city, and if I were to take a board seat, I can no longer volunteer for the city.
Oh,
Right.
fair.
and we need her very.
Yes, we do.
Well, we all need Cindy now.
Yes.
yeah, obviously she keeps us on track, yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on then, to unfinished business.
So
Yes.
just so
Oh,
we
no.
finish this discussion,
Okay.
so then you're gonna fill out an application to be a board member?
Yes.
Okay, so that would get us back, would get us to 4 at least that we know would come. And then can the city also though have a discussion with Ruth regarding her continued involvement?
Yeah, we're not just gonna.
Somebody who would have that discussion.
Sounds like the mayor's.
Would-
willing to do
Okay,
that.
and then, so that, and then at our next meeting, before our next meeting, could we have it on the agenda then that we have what our ordinance currently says, and that we all bring our suggestions of how we'd like it to see, and then next time we vote on how we're gonna change our involvement, you right? Is that, did I summarize that?
Or you accept what the ordinance currently
Yeah,
says, and
Yeah.
if Renee joins you, you guys are probably safe for a while.
But also the idea of then investigating how we expand the pool,
Yeah.
like we're talking, so
That's it, yeah. The other thing too, we should talk more about, and this comes up often, is the timing of this meeting,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, and we've had the meetings in the past when Mike Thomas was on the board. We met like at 5 o'clock at the park, I think, or maybe,
Mhm.
well, I don't know if you were with us yet, but
Yeah.
we had a couple of meetings then and that seemed to work okay. And then
Okay.
we went
Well,
back to
8 o'clock
this.
has always been this set time.
Not always, not.
I believe that's also in the ordinance, but.
Oh, yeah,
I think so.
I remember a few years ago, being at like 5 or 6.
I
Yeah,
mean, there's no
yeah.
reason why you can't change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
just,
think I stated my opinion before, I'm not sure why you would change it for one person.
I agree.
If the three or
If
four.
we
of
can
you
all
are-
work with it, yeah, yeah,
And to reiterate that it keeps Carly on the
Yeah.
daytime clock rather than comp time.
right,
That's a really good.
yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, the reason we would want to change or keep one of the kinders involved is that they are the park hosts and they're the closest to how the park works, so
Yes.
if we could accommodate somehow
Right.
so that she or he could attend a meeting. I know they had Friday, we had a meeting on Friday at, was it at 3?
Tim has Fridays
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
available, I think,
Yeah.
after 3 on Fridays.
Yeah, and you know, if we did that, we could keep one of the two of them.
But then again, it would come back to Carly. Carly's off on Friday.
That's true, yes, yeah, yeah.
So
So,
we need that too.
But that might be something that Carly and the mayor can chat about.
Okay.
yeah, she can go home early on one day and stay later on the next or something.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so that'll be next,
Okay,
that's our discussion next time.
all right.
Okay. Now we can move on. Okay.
Unfinished business, park comp plan update.
Okay, I've been working on that, you guys know that, and I actually haven't done anything for a month. But I met with Todd Johnson, who's our city planner. And I had a really good conversation with him because there were, when you guys look at this, the chapters 4, 5, and I think it was 6. Well, there's a demand and needs analysis. And then there's a capital improvement program. Those are things I just don't have the knowledge. I just don't have the information. I don't have the data, the knowledge, but Todd has all that information. So he said that, so he's willing to help us with this,
Nice.
which is awesome. So, that was one thing. And two, Mike, you asked earlier about steps at the gazebo. That was one of the things that was on that survey that we did, so that is included in here in the comp plan, and so that'll be addressed. So it just needs some more revision. I just wanted you guys to know where I am with it before I go farther. As I get a little more into it, I'll keep sending in revisions as I get there. I was kind of worried at first because I thought it had to be done like now.
No.
But it doesn't have to be done until next year, and I was going. So it's a learning curve for me. So, and then also Todd gave me the name of a lady, I can't remember whether she was at Centralia Chehalis, or maybe it was Napavine. We talked about a lot of different people. Anyway, she's writing their comp plan also for the parks. And she apparently has a really good contact at this state who gave her really good information about making sure we had information that we need in here to get grants.
Nice.
So I went, okay, well, that's really good. So I have that. And then Cindy also gave me information about an AI platform where I can get some comparable plans to compare with. Did you get all that? Comparable plans to comp. Yeah. Anyway, so that's where we are with the comp plan. It's there. It's in the works. And if you guys have statements, comments.
I just had a question.
Mhm.
The planning area and inventory.
Mhm.
I was curious, because inventory has, Lewis and Clark State Park
Yeah,
has an inventory, it has St. Francis, Xavier, Catholic inventory,
Yeah.
and it has your place as an inventory.
yeah.
So I don't know, I mean, that could be like, well, why doesn't have the Morgan's place as an inventory?
I absolutely agree.
This
That's
place-
continuing,
Yeah.
Yes.
So like,
it's good to know.
I don't know why that is in there.
Yeah. It's supposed to be existing recreation facilities in and around Toledo. That's where I'm going with it. Yes, I saw that and in my draft, I took some things out.
You should
Yeah.
take-
You guys discussed that on the first round of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should not be in there.
Yeah, I took a lot of those private things.
Yeah, 'cause that's privately owned.
Yes, I took those out, and I was keeping specifically to recreational things.
Yeah.
Because we're Parks and Rec.
Catholic Mission is privately owned.
Yes, exactly, I took that out too,
Okay,
so.
I mean, not to dog on you, because I'm
No.
awesome, but I'm
But,
just like, well, I'll get that, but.
Good job on that, Mary. Thank you.
Awesome.
yeah,
Mary, one of the things that I see on your table 1 existing recreation, you don't have Steamboat Alley on
okay, good,
there. And
good,
that's as recreational as the Eagle or. the thing.
yes, yes.
There is a place to sit.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
And I'm always amazed. I walk through there and sometimes there's trash and I pick it up and everything, but there's a table and a chair, 2 chairs and a bench that have been there for years and nobody's stolen them. They're just sitting there.
I know.
It's just amazing. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have brought that up.
No, that's okay, yeah, now, next time we go there, I won't be there.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on park comp plan update?
The only other thing is that the overriding comp plan that Todd Johnson is helping the city with.
Uh-huh.
That deadline has been moved from June of 2025 to December of 2025. The county has moved that back.
Whoa, okay.
So that means we don't have to do anything until what, November?
November.
Yeah.
2025. What else?
However, we might as, I don't wanna put it off too long, too, because if it helps us get, if having it in place helps us get grants, then.
And the 2025 cycle, that's when all the grants will be coming, we need to get them.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
I will keep working on that.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, man.
I generally look for rainy days now, and so we don't have so many of those, because I don't wanna sit at my computer during the day. Walk in the park.
Walk in the park status and we, Joe and I went there and paced it off and I know we were looking at 500 feet from the restroom. That if you had a tent site or something beyond
Wait,
that.
walk in the park? Walk in the park?
Oh, yeah. That's different, isn't
Yeah.
it? Well, we walked in the park. That was our walk in the
You
park.
took a walk in the
Yeah,
park.
yeah,
That
let's
was
go
great.
walk in the
huh?
park. Walk in the park, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
it's
yeah, walk in the park status, the status of walking.
It's great.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. We've got a Vision Toledo meeting
Okay.
later this month. And
Okay.
I will invite Janine again. See if
So just to remind you that you as a board has taken on coordination of this. This is not a Vision Toledo.
Correct.
Or
Correct.
organized event.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
we better get our,
yeah.
when do we do this? This is in August, right?
September
No,
7th.
September 7th, yes.
That's right. We changed it.
Mostly, if you are gonna do t-shirts, we probably should start thinking about how you want to approach businesses for sponsorship
Mhm.
in order to pay for those t-shirts.
And in the past that those T-shirts were made by Corrective Services or somewhere, and they got a really cheap deal, like they got them printed for like $5 a shirt, including the shirt. It was like dirt cheap. Slave labor. So yeah, that's something someone should look into. Do I have any volunteers?
I will volunteer.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, just if you can investigate the where we get shirts made and how much it would cost, and even if we even want to do that, we don't have to have shirts. I mean, I don't think, yeah, we had them left over from last year, didn't we?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And then
Yeah,
history,
so we would have to we need to do a little better job of organizing.
Yeah.
So, yes.
yeah, and Janine Washington is the one who wants to expand it to a day in the park. And that's fine, if she does it the same day and we have our walk in the morning and she does her thing afterwards, it's.
But that's her thing.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
she can do that, yeah.
With our
Okay.
blessing.
Okay.
Okay,
And just kind of to get an idea of like how many shirts, like just a guesstimate. Ballpark.
So this last year, there were just shy of 30 participants.
Okay.
And they usually do print extra shirts
Mhm.
to either sell.
Okay.
now, the last time we talked about this was with Ruth, and she said, hey, that's great, I'll set up my shop here in the kitchen at the park and we'll print on demand. As people come.
Oh, okay.
But then she went out of business, and so that whole idea fell
Right.
apart, but it was a great idea going, yeah, then we don't overprint anything, yeah. So, yeah, I'll make a note to look back through some of my stuff and see if I could find anything about the printing of the shirts from meetings of the long ago.
And then is it like a same logo every year or is it,
It has been, yeah.
okay, perfect.
Doesn't need to be, but it has been.
Yeah.
And I probably on the server someplace, there might be an image.
Yeah.
Of the-
Yeah.
It's a little shadow image of a family with a little stroller.
I can look.
Yeah, well, I have the original because I designed it, so, yeah.
And so just, yeah, cause. The walk in the park, they do the walk and there's a breakfast afterwards, is that correct? No, I don't know where I think that.
There used to be food,
Oh,
but.
okay,
there used to
I
be a
just
hot
made that
dog.
up. It's just, it's a fundraiser for the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
It is whatever you make it.
Esther Bordy. Yeah. It was Esther Bordy's idea.
That's
and-
right.
And
Yeah.
that's why it still has that name.
It's not much of a fundraiser. I think
No.
it's more in honoring Esther.
Esther.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
That's awesome.
continuing with the
I
tradition.
think it
Yeah.
raises
That's
a
good.
couple $100.
Yeah,
It's not
make
much.
it more.
No, there's no reason. In fact, that's a great.
can do
reason.
whatever
And
we
maybe
want.
Get together,
Absolutely,
get to know your
blow it up.
neighbors, you know?
And that's what Janine Washington was talking about, and she was gonna have, and I assume she's still pursuing this, vendors that would pay a fee, and that fee would go to the park.
Right.
But I think she was only charging them $25 a thing, but that's all she could get out of them, because
So Janina's changed her mind again, because the last time we talked about walking the park, you said that she wasn't really interested in doing the day of the park anymore.
well, and she called me here
So she
a
has
couple of
to-
months ago and said, yeah, I'd
Right.
like to.
Mm.
So when is it? She wants to know, so,
Great.
okay, I'll call
Good.
Janine.
Yeah, when it comes to events like that, those are things I have connections with where I could spread the word and then look for other vendors if needed,
Sure,
but
yeah.
sponsors.
Get some music and
Yeah.
just to make a whole little day of it, yeah.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
made a good connection with, she was the one who ran a benefit for the Seattle Children's Hospital. She's done it for over a decade now and she's retiring this year, but we were gonna sit down and have lunch this next week. I could pick her brain and
Yeah.
see what kind of
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
connections I
Yeah.
can get.
Great
Yeah.
stuff.
it's that kind of stuff that makes our little town
Mhm.
fun to live in because there's stuff going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Great
Yeah.
opportunity to like,
Yeah.
meet your neighbors.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful idea.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay, other business, discussion, proposed tent sites. Is this where I can talk about us walking? or- Okay. I saw her walking.
Now's your time.
Yeah, Joe and I walked in the park, yeah. Okay, yeah, we went out, she had her, little roller thing.
Mhm.
And so we walked from the edge of the restrooms and we just walked, kind of meandered. We could have gone a better straight line and made it even better. But we got to there's a post where you sign in to be in the park. It's informational
Or, yeah.
kiosk thing.
Right, right.
Yeah, and that was like 350 or
Oh.
75, something like that. It was under 400. And so then we went across and we went to we didn't get to the farthest one that we plotted. Because we could see that was beyond our,
It is.
but it was certainly most all of them were within the 500,
Okay.
or I think 509 or something like that, just slightly over 500 feet. So that whole idea should be okay. When we get down to actually establishing those tent sites, putting in gravel and whatever you're gonna do to it, then just make sure that they're
Within that.
Yeah.
And did you discuss parking over there?
We had several places where we would have where you could pull off and park, and we had a kind of a group spot.
And is that to convert, also to convert, RV site number 1 to support the tent sites versus leaving it as an RV spot?
I don't remember. I know that we had discussed that, but I don't know if we had,
Cause that RV spot is right there
Yeah.
yeah.
and it has water, so if you were to convert that
Right,
to.
and there is water on the other side of the road going into where the RVs are. There's a spigot.
That's RV spot 1.
Ah, okay.
That's RV spot 1,
Oh,
the one I was just asking
To
about.
it's not to the right of this road, it's to the left. As you
Is that number
come,
2?
as
That
you-
might be number 2.
as you come in off the curve
yeah.
there, when you go in, there's a spigot right over there. And then there's the RV. No, on the right.
On the right.
Yeah, and
That's
then
RV
there,
spot number 1.
That's one.
okay,
If you go straight all the way back, then yes, RV spot 1's on your left, but if you take that first go around, since there's the 2 different loops.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so depending on which loop you're looking at, it would be on your right or left.
okay.
I know, confusing.
Which is something,
Anyway.
which is something that Tim said and Ruth both is, can we have some better signs that show what this spot is? And, oh, yeah, we should. All we have is these little house signs like you put on the side of your house and they're like 4 inches or so and well, you can make it look fancier than that, but
And how many sites are you proposing in that area?
I think 7, I think was the number we were looking at. There's a minimum in order to get signage out on the freeway. I think that
Mhm.
was the reason for
For total, so I think
Yeah.
it's 20, the 21, 22?
Yeah,
So with the RV
With the
sites
RVs.
plus, so that's 12, well, it'll be 11 if you take RV site number
I
1.
don't think we were
So
thinking.
That's probably why they were going for 7.
That still doesn't,
That's still.
but unless it's under 20, I thought it was 21 or 22. That
Yeah,
was the
Yeah.
cutoff. So
I
you
can't-
I don't think it may,
I don't
may not have
recall.
enough.
yeah.
Joe's should have that pretty well.
And there's a
Let's
couple
make
other
sure.
spots besides that are over. As you
On the
drive
south
around.
side, on the south end, on the south
So the
corner.
kitchen's over here and then before you start.
Yeah.
Over in that corner there's a, and they
Yeah.
actually already use those, so.
Yeah,
And we've not talked about those when we talk about RV sites, because we only say, well, there's 13 RV sites, or is it 12?
Well,
Yeah, okay. And then we already have a couple of 10 sites as well.
Mhm.
So I think collectively it reaches the 21 or 22 threshold, whatever.
good. Okay.
So I don't know what you do with that information, but it looks to me like it's all possible to do, and the city just has to decide whether they want to invest in clearing the ground and establishing it, putting the post in and saying, here's your tent spot or whatever. It's got to be something that, I mean, we look inside it, that looked like it would work.
Okay.
Expectation quarterly PL reports,
Profit loss.
profit and loss. Why did you say profit and loss?
That's what it says.
So this is just from Carly and I.
Yes.
There is some massaging that needs to be done each time that report is pulled.
Okay,
And we'd like to just give that to you quarterly rather than monthly.
absolutely.
Good.
Works for me.
Yep.
Are you guys okay with
I
this?
agree.
Okay, okay with me. Yeah, yeah.
I vote that we move to a.
I have 2 things.
Okay.
One's a question.
Okay,
Can we finish this?
I move that that we approve our profit and loss every quarter.
Oh,
I
Do we have-
second the motion.
okay, all in favor?
I,
Okay, you're good.
Adjourning, sorry.
No, we're not,
No,
no, we're not yet.
Okay.
Public comments next.
Okay.
That would be you.
You know me. Okay, one thing I was curious to know is, Paul Burrows, is gonna have a party in the park.
Mhm.
I believe she's gonna have alcohol there. Like, so I was wondering, cause I haven't seen anything come across, through that. through us.
I have no idea about it.
And so I want to know how that's gonna shake down, so.
My question, do you need like an insurance or like how, what is the requirements?
So.
Have to have a-
This is not a park board meeting, no.
Yeah.
It's your, they're an advisory board, they have.
Yeah, so, and then, let's see, this was something, there is a building that is right next to 10 and Ruth. That, Eric and I cleaned out, a couple of years ago. And it has, an access to the, has sewer access and water access. And, I thought a couple of years ago, it would be great in the future if we could hook that up to, a washer and a dryer someday, for our park people, to use. So I'm throwing it out to you. Now it is, both recorded and you know it. So that was my
Okay.
idea. In the future, if maybe somebody wants to donate that to us and a hot water heater instantaneous, that was, what I was thinking about.
That was the original restroom for the park,
Yeah,
when the Lions Club built all that centuries ago.
in a perfect world, it would all be fixed up and people could go in there and wash their laundry.
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
they've been traveling for a long time. That was my thought, so.
Yeah.
I know that takes money and all that stuff to, fix up, but we have that building and it has water and sewer access.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Any other public thoughts, Renee? No,
I'm just observing.
okay.
Very good.
So,
Smart.
I did, provide a printout to you regarding America Blooms.
Yes.
I just stumbled across that when I was researching Castle Rock.
Mhm.
There is a grant associated with that organization. Just letting you know that it exists if someone wants to pursue it. I think we may have missed the, sign up process, which was in February.
Yeah.
Which would make you eligible to apply for the grant, so this might be a 2025 thing.
Oh,
But,
Yep.
just letting you guys know that this exists.
okay.
And it is mostly just for vegetation. It's not for, equipment or.
That's several cities use that and usually not usually, but often they use hanging baskets all around, so they add color and everything.
But it could be a source for the planter box.
Planter boxes.
Yeah,
And yeah, along that line too, I did talk to the team at the Learning Garden at the. Down there, about the planter boxes, because that was on our survey. And they said, and frankly, right now. So the kids, plant the seedlings, so right now in the greenhouse, I have a whole bunch of seedlings that need to go somewhere. Cause we've planted everything we can, and but this is like this week, they need to go somewhere, but. So it's kind of late, but definitely they said that we could, anytime we want, we could start some things in the greenhouse. So if we wanted to do planting for our boxes in next spring or something, so we do have options there, which I was really excited about, that we could do some things, so.
Need to get some, high schooler to, take that on as a project.
Well, I know, that's kind of, it's in my head, and I was thinking about talking to both of the high school and the middle school people that do their. Programs up there, just to get ideas and reach out, so I don't think I'll be able to maybe do anything this year, but maybe by next. Growing season, we could do something wonderful with those planters.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So.
And can we come back to other business for a moment?
Okay,
So would you like to ask Renee if he'd like to join you? And if so, a motion to pass that recommendation on to council, so it would be on Monday's council meeting?
okay. Would you like to join us?
Yes, I would like to join the
Okay.
Parks Board.
Okay,
Right?
do we put that in the form of a motion?
Motion.
Yes. Go
I
ahead.
would like to make a motion to invite him to the Parks Board at the next city council meeting.
I will second that motion to invite Renee. What's your last name again? I'm sorry.
Rawl.
Okay.
Portuguese.
CABRAL. Yep.
All in favor? Aye.
Right. And what do you do, if I may ask?
I am, technology consultant, so I have like, 30 years experience building, development teams for companies and that sort of thing, so I consult on how they should build their teams and build software.
Okay.
And you moved here because of the
If you
internet?
have internet.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And peace of mind.
Yes,
Peace
yeah.
of mind.
Yes, yeah.
From,
Okay.
Oviedo, close to Orlando.
Okay.
Most
Thanks.
people want to leave here and go there, but we like it here better.
Okay.
So if you want to fill out that
Yeah,
application, then Carly will get it on the.
sounds good.
Okay, move to adjourn,
Second.
adjourn. It looks like 4:06.
So on Monday, next Monday is council meeting then,
Yes.
so